Erik Erikson was a theorist who developed the identity theory. Through studying and learning from his personal experiences, Erikson was able to develop a theory that explains how one's individual identity is formed. His theory was made up of 8 stages, starting at infancy and going up to adulthood. During each stage, the individual experiences a psychosocial crisis which could have a positive or negative effect on their personality development. Depending on how a person reacted to each stage was how their personality was forming. If a person was able to successfully overcome each crisis, it meant that they have a healthy personality. Erikson believed it was important to establish a sense of trust in others and develop a sense of identity in society. The first crisis individuals face is trust versus mistrust, which starts at the first year of life. Infants look for someone who can give them constant and stable care. Once an infant sees that they have someone who can provide security, they start forming relationships of trust. The, the successful completion of this stage will also lead to hope, where if a new crisis arises, the infant can hope that someone will be there for them. At such an early age, infants depend on someone else for survival. Therefore, if they cannot rely on someone else, they develop a sense of mistrust. This is seen with children who grow up with parents who are drug addicts or alcoholics. They cannot rely or trust someone else, therefore, they develop fear and trust issues. The second crisis is autonomy versus shame, which usually comes in the second or third year of life. This is where children get their first taste of independence. They start doing things on their own, like walking. It is important for the parent to allow the child to do things on his or her own, so they feel so they can feel a pride over the small accomplishments. It is it is also it also allows them to be confident and feel secure in their own abilities. Successful completion leads to a sense of will. This crisis is common when it comes to potty training the child. A lot of the times, parents might become frustrated with the child and make them feel shame for not being able to use the toilet correctly, which can lead to the child feeling inadequate and lack self esteem. The parent has to allow the child to complete tasks at their own pace and at their own time. Doing doing too much for a child without giving them the chance to do it themselves can result in an overly dependent child. The third crisis is initiative versus guilt, which occurs between the ages 3 to 5. During this stage, the children are starting to interact more with other children, typically during play. This is important when children are extremely curious about everything and want to ask a lot of questions. If, when taking the initiative to interact in a certain activity, they have a positive outcome, they will end up with courage and purpose. But if they are stopped when trying to take the initiative, either by an overprotecting parent or some other factor, they will develop guilt and lack of self esteem. It is important for parents to form an environment where the child can explore so they are able to take their own initiative, while at the same time they can keep the child safe. The fourth crisis is industrious. Oh, The fourth crisis is industriousness versus inferiority, which comes in ages 6 to 11. Children are at the stage where they will be learning to read and write or do things on their own. Teachers begin to take an important role in the child's life as they teach the child specific skills. Their peers gain greater significance and become a major source of the child's self esteem. The child now feels the need to win approval by demonstrating specific competencies that are valued by society and begin to develop a sense of pride in their accomplishments. If children are encouraged and reinforced for their initiative, they begin to feel industrious and feel confident in their ability to achieve goals. Successfully overcoming this crisis will lead to a sense of competence. And if the child is restricted by parents or teachers, then the child begins to feel inferior, doubting his own abilities and therefore may not reach full potential. It is important to allow children to reach their full potential so they can go on to the next stage of their life and able to take any task with confidence and without feeling like they will be judged. The fifth crisis is identity cohesion versus role confusion, which happens between ages 12 to 18. This is where children transition into adolescence. Adolescents begin to search for a sense of self and personality identity through an exploration of personal values, beliefs, and goals. An individual who is able to successfully define their identity results with a sense of fidelity. Through his lifetime, Erikson experienced his own identity crisis. Growing up, he never knew who his real father was, which drove him to question his name. Adding on, he was outcasted by his peers because he didn't fit in based on his appearance. The German kids wouldn't interact with him because he was Jewish, and the Jewish kids wouldn't interact with him because he looked German. Erikson was left to himself, which as an adolescent can turn into a traumatic and negative experience because adolescents just want to feel that they can fit in. Many adolescents fall into the wrong path because they are trying to fit in with the wrong crowd, or they may go through several relationships or careers trying to find out who they are. The sixth crisis is intimacy versus isolation. It happens from the end of adolescence to the age of 35. This is important This is the point in life where individuals are searching for their life partners and have more long-term relationships. Finding the right romantic partner can lead to a comfortable relationship and a sense of commitment, safety, care, and care within the relationship. Overcoming crisis will result in a sense of love. If a person is unable to establish a good intimate relationship because they have trust issues, if they try to get or if they try and get rejected too many times, they may end up fearing commitment and avoid intimacy. This can lead to loneliness and isolation. The seventh crisis is generativity versus stagnation, which occurs between ages 35 to 55. This is where individuals establish careers, settle down within a relationship, begin their own families, and develop a sense of being a part of a bigger picture. Individuals try to give back to society through raising children with right morals, being productive at work, and becoming involved in community activities and organizations. Successfully overcoming the crisis will result in a sense of care. If an individual is unable to reach their life goals, they will feel unproductive. Individuals might go through a midlife crisis where they are unsatisfied with their life and feel that what they have accomplished so far is not enough. They might even feel that they have wasted their life. The last crisis is ego integrity versus despair, which occurs between maturity and old age. As individuals grow older and become senior citizens, they tend to slow down productivity and explore life as a retired person. It is during this time that they start looking back at their life and contemplate their accomplishments. If when looking back they feel that they lived a productive and successful life, they will end up with a sense of closure and completeness. By successfully overcoming the crisis, they will result with a sense of wisdom. If a person feels the opposite and sees their life as unproductive, feel guilt about their past, or feel that they did not accomplish their life goals, they become dissatisfied with life and develop despair, often leading to depression and hopelessness. All in all, through the identity theory, one goes through the entire life cycle. Every triumph and every failure has an impact on one's life. It can either be positive or it can be negative. A positive triumph allows them to move on to the next stage in their life and tackle on the next crisis. A negative failure can sometimes result in the person staying in the same stage for a long period of time. Many times, a negative outcome can result in the individual to lose hope and to stop trying or not even attempt the following crisis in their life.